In the summer of 1942, Japan was unstoppable. They had shattered the American fleet at Pearl Harbor. They had swallowed Southeast Asia whole. They controlled the Pacific like a vice grip around the throat of the free world. Their navy was the most feared fighting force on the planet. Their commanders truly believed no one could touch them. Then came 4 days in June. 4 days the Imperial Japanese Navy never recovered from. 4 days that didn't just turn the tide of the Pacific War, they ended Japan's dream of empire before it ever fully matured. This is the Battle of Midway, the most stunning naval reversal in modern warfare. And the moment that decided everything lasted less than 6 minutes. To understand Midway, you have to understand how desperate things were for America in early 1942. On December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor burned. Battleships were sunk or crippled. Thousands were dead. The U.S. Pacific Fleet, the backbone of American power in the ocean, was shattered. Japan didn't stop. Within months, they seized the Philippines, Malaya, Singapore, Burma, the Dutch East Indies, and Guam. Their empire stretched across millions of square miles of ocean. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the architect of Pearl Harbor, had one final plan: lure the remaining American aircraft carriers into a trap near a tiny atoll called Midway Island. Destroy them. Force the United States into a negotiated peace before American industry could awaken. It was bold. It was calculated. It required overwhelming force. Japan assembled an enormous armada: carriers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, transports. America had 3 carriers available in the Pacific. On paper, it wasn't even a fair fight. But Japan didn't know one thing. American codebreakers in Pearl Harbor had cracked parts of Japan's naval code. They knew Midway was the target. They knew roughly when the attack would come. They knew enough to prepare an ambush. Admiral Chester Nimitz made a decision that would shape history. America would not wait. America would not retreat. America would meet the Japanese fleet in open ocean and strike first. The hunters were about to become the hunted. June 3rd, 1942. Japan launched a diversionary strike in the Aleutian Islands, hoping to confuse American forces. But the U.S. command didn't take the bait. They held their carriers near Midway. Soon, American patrol aircraft spotted elements of the Japanese invasion fleet approaching. Then came June 4th. Before dawn, Japanese Admiral Chuichi Nagumo launched over 100 aircraft toward Midway Island. Bombers and fighters roared across the sky, striking fuel depots and airfields. Midway burned, but it wasn't knocked out. The strike leader radioed back. Another attack would be required. Nagumo now faced a critical decision. His reserve planes were armed with torpedoes, prepared for naval combat. If another strike on Midway was needed, those torpedoes had to be removed and replaced with bombs. He ordered the rearming. Torpedoes were hauled off. Bombs were brought up. Fuel hoses snaked across crowded hangar decks. It was dangerous, delicate work. Then reports came in. American ships had been sighted. Nagumo hesitated. Rearm again? Switch back to torpedoes. Confusion spread across the carrier decks. Planes were partially armed. Fuel lines were open. Ordnance was stacked in the open. And then the American torpedo bombers arrived. They came in low and slow. Outdated planes, little fighter cover. They flew straight into heavy anti-aircraft fire and swarming Japanese fighters. Squadron after squadron was cut apart. Nearly every plane shot down. Most of the crews killed. They scored no hits. From the Japanese perspective, it looked like total victory. The threat seemed neutralized. Fighters dropped to sea level, chasing the attackers. But high above, American dive bombers were still searching. Low on fuel, unsure of the fleet's exact location, one squadron commander made a choice. He followed the wake of a lone Japanese destroyer racing across the ocean. That decision changed history. Below him lay 4 Japanese fleet carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu, their decks crowded with aircraft. Fueled, armed, vulnerable. The American dive bombers rolled over and plunged. What happened next took 6 minutes. Bombs fell from the sky with terrifying precision. Akagi was struck. Explosions ripped through fueled aircraft. Fires spread uncontrollably. Kaga took multiple hits. Flames engulfed her hangars. Soryu was struck in rapid succession. More explosions, more fire. In minutes, 3 Japanese carriers were burning wrecks. The very ships that had launched the attack on Pearl Harbor were crippled in less time than it takes to drink a cup of coffee. Only Hiryu remained operational. She launched a desperate counterattack that damaged the American carrier Yorktown. For a moment, the battle hung in the balance. But later that day, American dive bombers found Hiryu. More bombs, more fires. By the next morning, all 4 Japanese fleet carriers were doomed. Thousands of sailors and aviators were dead. More devastating than the ships themselves was the loss of experienced pilots, men who could not be quickly replaced. Japan could build hulls. It could not instantly rebuild years of training and combat experience. The momentum of the Pacific War shifted in those waters. Midway didn't end the war. Brutal fighting would continue for years, across islands and oceans. But after Midway, Japan would never again launch a major offensive of that scale. From that point forward, they fought defensively, reacting, retreating, trying to delay the inevitable. The battle revealed something deeper than tactics. It showed the power of intelligence, that knowing your enemy's plan can outweigh numerical superiority. It showed the danger of overconfidence and overly complex strategies, and it showed the impact of sacrifice. The torpedo bomber crews who were shot down drew Japanese fighters low, clearing the skies above for the dive bombers. Their attack failed tactically, but succeeded strategically. History often turns not on grand speeches, but on small decisions. A code broken in a basement, an admiral choosing not to retreat, a pilot following a destroyer's wake across open sea. 6 minutes in June 1942 shattered the offensive power of the most dominant navy in the Pacific. 4 carriers lost. A war transformed. And from that moment forward, the course of World War II in the Pacific would never be the same.